So the game is getting himself into some trouble. That's nothing new. But he's getting closer and closer to taking the white ceiling off the red rolls and outright saying, F Kendrick Lamar.
Red rose, white
Kendrick Lamar. And the irony is, Kendrick hasn't said a word, but yet it's Kendrick's silence that has the game spiraling. And that same silence highlights the fundamental difference between both artists' careers. Kendrick got so much further, kept Dr. Dre and that entire camp close to him, and avoided many of the problems that the game created for himself, all because Kendrick knew when to speak, and it was always through the music. Meanwhile, the game never learned when to shut up. That goes all the way back to the beginning of the game's career. And when you contrast his path with Kendrick's, you can see exactly what 50 Cent meant when he said this about the game very early on.
I recorded 6 records on Game's new album. I did West Side Story, How We Do, Hated to Love It, Church for Thugs, Special, and High. He came back recently from overseas and was like he's feeling himself, like because of how well his record is selling. Openly, I wouldn't expose what I did for the project, but I wrote those records. I created the concept of those records and he rapped around it. He's a great rapper. He's not a good songwriter. It's a major difference. He says a lot of people's names for shock value. He says things he doesn't mean. Says a lot of things and take it back. You know, he had issues with Joe Buttons, then he runs into him in the club and they're taking pictures. He had issues with Memphis Bleak, then he ran into Memphis Bleak. In Miami, it was no problem. See, I'm not a fake person. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. And he has a lot of inconsistency.
The game says a lot of things for shock value. He says stuff he doesn't mean and then takes it back. He's had issues with all these different rappers, then he sees them in person and it's no problem. This is what 50 Cent said 20 years ago in 2005, and it was the foundation of why the game was kicked out of G-Unit. 21 years later, this exact behavior is why Kendrick Lamar won't pick up the phone when the game calls, and why Kendrick was able to get so much farther in his career than the game ever could. Don't get me wrong though, Kendrick's silence has people confused as well. The game wasn't invited to the Pop-Out, the biggest West Coast event orchestrated by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick never explained why. The game even thought Kendrick was dissing him on Not Like Us. And now it's not Kendrick but instead Top Dogg explaining to the world why Kendrick allegedly won't speak to the game. Top claims it was because of Drake and the game's collaboration on the song 100. But Kendrick hasn't said anything, and I think it goes deeper. Because the irony is that when Kendrick was crowned next up from the West Coast, the game was standing right there. But if you pay close attention, he didn't look too happy to actually be there.
We watching game, pass the torch to you. We watching all this love. It's a beautiful thing, my you great at what you do. You ain't good at what you do. You great at what you do. And the people out here, they represent and they showing you that. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna mean this. You got the torch, then you better run with it, motherfucker. You better run with it, because it's yours.
Now you might think, alright, the game is embracing Kendrick Lamar here, but this was before Kendrick Lamar became the Kendrick Lamar we know today. Now on a side note, ironically, I actually do think the first time I ever heard Kendrick was on a Game album. In 2011, the Red album, Kendrick killed his feature on the song The City. So I'm definitely not denying that the game actually brought some eyeballs to Kendrick Lamar, but it was how he reacted after Kendrick Lamar catapulted and surpassed Game's level of superstardom that the game started acting kind of funny. The first sign came in 2012 when Dr. Dre and Kendrick Lamar were both on the XXL magazine cover, with the caption reading, "Dr. Dre brings us hip-hop's next big star," after Eminem, Snoop Dogg, and 50 Cent, noticeably leaving out the game's name. Now the game actually went off on XXL about this.
Kind of pissed me off is that I felt like I rocked with Double XL even throughout the beginning of my career. I kind of rode against the source. I seen this cover with I think it was Kendrick on it or something, but it was like, you know, the guy that sold 10 million records was just missing. Just felt that was a little disrespectful to me and my career, and you know, the relationship could go either way from here.
So as you can see, right, these little subtle signs of jealousy came early on in Kendrick's career, since the game was probably looking at this like, crap, if I maybe didn't run my mouth so much, I would be in this position that Kendrick is now in, where I'm Dr. Dre's protege. That's of course everything the game ever wanted. I mean, once he got dropped from Aftermath and G-Unit, he was pushed onto the sister label, the smaller label over at Interscope called Geffen, and he still named his second album The Doctor's Advocate because he wanted to show the world that even though 50 Cent wasn't riding with him, Dr. Dre still was, and he was speaking on Dr. Dre's behalf, all for, in the end, the album to feature no Dr. Dre production, even though the game said it would.
Dre created that and gave me everything that I now have, I feel like, in a sense. So to me, Dre is a hip-hop god and saved my life. So, you know, that's where paying homage to the doctor goes in the title. Now, the second half of that would be, you know, the act of advocating. And if you look up advocate in the dictionary, it's going to tell you to speak on behalf of something, someone, or someplace. And you know what I'm saying? So on this album, I'm advocating for the doctor.
Ultimately, Dr. Dre ended up writing for 50. Because he probably realized ultimately that all the issues between Game and 50 started from Game's lack of loyalty and his cap. And speaking of capping, it's crazy to me how even 20 years after his issues with 50 Cent, in 2025 the Game was still on stage saying F 50 Cent.
50! 50! I go say it again, louder! Everybody say 50! 50!
But by 2026, the Game caps off his versus battle, the celebration of his catalog and his career, by shouting out 50 Cent, and even rapped 50 Cent's full verses on Hate It or Love It and How We Do. And it's this sort of flip-flopping, this obsession with disingenuous drama that may or may not stem from jealousy or what could have been, that makes people not take the Game as seriously as his skill set and art deserves to be taken.
I'm having such a good 2020, bitch. Shout out 50, nigga. I'm having such a good year, nigga. What's up, nigga? It's Chuck, blood. The nigga that brought 50 and Dr. Dre to Westside Boston. I'm the nigga that told Dre it's boo, get out, blood. We here, nigga. If I'm lying, I'm flying, blood. Boston, let's get it. Watching your game.
Come on, nigga, what the fuck we doing up in this motherfucker? Shout out to you, nigga.
I mean, talk about 50 Cent. It's like last year the Game is saying F50, but then this year he's performing 50 Cent's verse on Hate It or Love It and stops the entire song to get mad at a fan in the crowd who wasn't rapping 50 Cent's part word for word, as if this was a 50 Cent karaoke night at a Game concert. 22 plus years into his career nonetheless, he's doing 50 Cent karaoke nights.
Diffusing the curse coming up in the cold world. Hey man, you gotta get your cool ass up. You gotta stand up, man. Hey, now we gotta start over, cause this cool motherfucker, he like this. He like, yeah, that's right, King. Do that shit, Holmes. Do it. Stand your ass up with us, motherfucker. Start it over. If you say, hold on. If you sit your ass down, we gonna start the fuck over. You'll never get home fuck with me. You ain't about to be sitting down, that fool is like this. Do it, Holmes. Hate it or love it, fool. Yeah, bitch, you gotta sing with us tonight, motherfucker. Come on. Don't you sit your ass down. I'm watching you, motherfucker. Sing it!
Let's take it back to 2012 for a second, when Kendrick blew up and the Game had his last Dr. Dre affiliated project with 2011's The Red Album. That album made much less of an impact than Kendrick's project a year later, Good Kid, Mad City. And it was clear Kendrick was now king of the West Coast. But the same way the Game likely expressed slight jealousy over the position that Kendrick just took, Kendrick also had some jealousy of his own while watching the Game's rise when Kendrick was still a hungry kid from Compton trying to make it. Now shout out to Wayno for reminding me of this. But on verse 2 of Black Boy Fly off the Good Kid Mad City Deluxe album, listen to what Kendrick Lamar says about Jason Taylor, aka The Game.
I used to be jealous of Jason Young Taylor when I was young. Taylor made a career out of music from writing songs. A Buick had driven past, bumping him when I mowed the lawn. It's 2004 and I'm hearing the people roar for the name of the game. They line in front of the store. Swap meet, selling out mixtapes. I'm like, oh shit, wait, don't wanna be another nigga stuck regretting mistakes. Mixed feelings was my opinion. I was defending my insecurities, chilling my conscience next to a villain. Compton made you believe success wasn't real. Be honest, none of us knew of a record deal. So as I peel through these lottery tickets, I see a Harley Davidson truck visit the same plaza we shop. A tall nigga Hopped out with Jordans and a white tank top. He was top of the rap game. He was the top of the block.
So here he's basically bigging Game up, saying that he looked up to the Game. And it's funny because recently the Game reflected on this time period, back when he was on top of the Game and J-Rock was being pushed as the main superstar from TDE. And at that time, Kendrick was just J-Rock's hype man. But according to the Game, he saw Kendrick's potential early on and actually wanted to sign him. And you know, you sometimes gotta take what the Game says with a grain of salt. Well, the Game making this bold claim came with some consequences.
But I always knew. So in the beginning, I would be going, in the beginning of my career, I'd be going by Top Dogg's house and just, you know, helping him with J-Rock stuff and lending my, 2 cents since I was a little bit, ahead of the curve than from where they were. And I was always asking Top, I was like, yo, let me get Dot. Mm-hmm. He was like, no. And so he knew what he was. I knew what he was.
So when you say let me get Dot, are you talking about let me get him as an artist or as a feature?
Let me get him as an artist because I already knew. Yeah. I knew what he was gonna be.
Now, how do we know this is cap? Well, take it from Game himself, who had said in an interview like 15 years ago that before Kendrick Lamar formed into Kendrick Lamar and he was still K-Dot, the Game still had his doubts about who Kendrick was as an artist. Doesn't exactly sound like someone you'd want to sign.
I've been knowing Kendrick since he was, first starting off in hip hop. I took him around the world with me, man, on my tour and let him, him and J-Rock was doing their thing with Top Dogg opening up. And it's really dope to see, hard work pay off. Somebody that I helped, shape and mold. I remember when I told K-Dot that K-Dot wasn't going to work and that he should just change his name to Kendrick. And he did that, and next thing you know, it's aftermath and people are checking. Bitches are like, Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? But Kendrick is like our West Coast Nas, so to speak.
Why the name switch?
I just felt like, the artist that I wanted to be was somebody that, that people can actually feel and relate to. Mm-hmm. You dig what I'm saying? With the story about me growing up in the whole city, I feel like, the best artists in the world is people that, actually gravitate toward their story and actually can say, that's me. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what, I want to wake up. I woke up one morning, I said, the best thing I can do is start giving these people me is, giving them my name and what my moms call me rather than what the homies call me.
That's right.
K-Dot. Mm-hmm. Homies call me that. That's when I grew up in the neighborhood in Compton. My mom's called me Kendrick, straight up, Kendrick Lamar.
And Kendrick himself also has a song from 2009 called Last Real Guy Alive, where basically 15 years ago he confirms that the Game today in 2025 is straight capping because he says, 2 weeks ago I finally ran into the guy I gave my mixtape to and said he was partners with the Game. The guy finally told me what the Game said. He said he didn't like it.
I finally run into the nigga I gave my mixtape to, said he was partners with Game. The nigga finally told me what he said. He said he didn't like it.
Does all this sound like a guy who wanted to sign Kendrick Lamar back in the day, before he was Kendrick Lamar, or is it just a convenient thing to say today because he is Kendrick Lamar? I mean, Kendrick Lamar's bodyguard, 2 T's, you guys probably remember him from the Like That verse, got 2 T's with me, I'm snatching chains, burning tattoos. He came out and he barely speaks, and he even had to say this is straight cap.
Number one, 2 T's, I let 2 T's stay with me for 5 years. In the beginning of my career. 5 years I let Blood stay with me. I don't got no issues with niggas until they got an issue with me. I don't know what Blood issue is, but whatever. Niggas is 46 years old. But as far as like TDE, nigga, ask Top Dogg, bro, what it is with me and what it was with me and what it is with me today. You gotta ask Kendrick. Like, let these niggas talk. How the fuck can a nigga tell me what I wanted to do? If I tell you right now, I wanted to sign Kendrick. How the fuck you gonna tell me what I didn't want to do? I didn't say I signed Kendrick, had a chance to sign Kendrick. When I asked Top Dogg about signing Kendrick, Top Dogg would tell you this. Top Dogg was like, nah, I can't let that nigga go. To my face. So how can a nigga tell me what I didn't want? Kendrick damn near the only nigga I ever really thought about signing because I knew the nigga's skill set, which I saw it be nigga way before the world saw it, which is why I put him on my early mixtapes and Top allowed that shit and then I bought J-Rock and Kendrick on tour. Anybody to say that I wasn't instrumental or I didn't put out a helping hand to help niggas is a straight lying, a sucker ass. bro. Like, I helped niggas when I didn't have to help nobody. All my homies, nigga, my brother, everybody wanted me to keep the shit on Cedar Block because we had it. It was Black Wall Street. We was running over anything, nigga. We was running over anything in the streets at that time. And musically, nigga, it wasn't nobody out carrying this shit except me. Nigga, I opened the floodgates for what this shit is now.
It's funny because then they go into, how The Game and Kendrick, they collaborated a lot in the past. Like The Game, like he says, he put Kendrick on early on, right? Like he was giving him all these different feature placements before Kendrick even had a debut album out. But then they all kind of like crap on that statement to say that like, yeah, you might have put him on, but Kendrick washed you on every single one of those features.
You did like 3 records with Dot, right? Like I think it was like
we did the mixtape shit, and then we did the city on LAX, I believe. And then we did, the mixtape and whatnot, but yeah,
he got you on all those.
We was arguing.
Hey man, listen, bro.
He got.
Hey yo,
So look,
he non-affiliate. He could just focus on being nigga rap. I gangbang with my shit. You know what I'm saying? And it is what it is.
So you saying you got to throw it in there just a little bit here and there?
It's I don't got to do shit. It's just who I am.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just who I am, so I'm gonna throw it in. He don't have to throw it in there, so he can really focus on the craft, nigga. But as far as like standing up and rapping on some rap shit, nigga, let's just rap. And by the way, nigga, I think Dot is fucking incredible. I always thought he was incredible. That's the little homie. All good, nigga, and it's all good for everybody to love everything about him. You should, nigga. You should love them. Love who you love, nigga. But don't tell me that, nigga, I can't go with nobody on earth. Nigga, I will blaze niggas. I don't give a fuck who it is, bro. I will blaze niggas.
Yeah, on God.
Now, keep in mind with everything we review that The Game says later on in this video, I mean, this is the same man who claims that Michael Jackson called him at the beginning of his career at the height of his beef with G-Unit with a peace offering suggesting that 50 and The Game should collaborate together on Michael Jackson's next album. And The Game claims that he turned it down because of his hate towards 50. Yeah, The Game, less than 1 year into his career, is going to turn down a collaboration with Michael frickin' Jackson. I'm sure this really happened.
Is it true that Michael Jackson tried to end the beef with you in 50?
Yeah, man, that was a weird story that don't even sound like it's true, man.
Does Mike call you?
Mike called me, and Jimmy Henchman, who was my manager at the time, he called me in my room. He said, man, Michael Jackson on the phone. He said it so nonchalantly. I was like, huh?
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
He said, Michael Jackson's on the phone. Pick up your phone. And they put Mike through, and I picked up the phone. It wasn't Mike. It was some British dude. And he was like, yeah, Mike, he'll be here in 25 minutes. And I was thinking to myself, why you just ain't calling 25 minutes? Yeah, man, he came in, and he was like, hey. And I was like, that ain't the hey I know.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That heavy ass voice.
Yeah, he didn't have that
like,
hey, it's Michael. He didn't sound like that. He sounded like a regular dude.
Right.
So but you could tell it was Michael Jackson.
Right.
So I was like, hey, what's up? He's like, you know what I want to tell you? And I was like, what? And he was like, that how we do. Magic. It's magical. It's magical. And I was like, yeah, it's a really good song. He was like, no, it's magical.
So that was great, but then this one is even better, all right? The mental gymnastics that The Game tries to do to paint the narrative that it wasn't that he wasn't invited to Kendrick Lamar's pop-out concert, but it was that he didn't want to go because he thought that him and his gang member friends would end up getting into a confrontation there with all the other gang members that were in attendance. This is absolutely amazing. You might be asking yourself, okay, well then why didn't The Game just go by himself to the concert and, leave the gangbangers at home? I mean, even by watching this clip, I couldn't get a straight answer out of that question, but you guys watch it and be the judge.
Here it is with the pop-out, bro.
Yeah.
I set it out on purpose. It's too much gang politics with me when I come somewhere. It was niggas at the pop-out that I don't fuck with. So why go to the pop-out, bring homies to the pop-out, right? Get into a confrontation at the pop-out when a nigga is having a great moment, bro.
No. We finna back up from that. The pop-out is unity. It's stop the beef. It's all that. It's sitting on stage and we moving forward.
You say that, but all it take is one nigga to get out of pocket with one nigga, and that's what comes with me.
Well, why you didn't go by yourself then?
What you mean come by
myself?
Nigga, I'm not doing that, bro.
Cap.
The thing that you saying and you saying right now is like, don't let nothing happen to me. Nigga, I ain't gonna let nothing happen to me, number one. And number two, just so everybody see it, so it's said. If you gonna clip anything, clip this. If something happened to me, whoever did it is getting smoked. Because my shit is already in position. The niggas that love me, that is with me, that's my nigga, know for sure. If something happens to Chuck, you dying.
So let's back this up. So the pop-out, you the one said you didn't want to come.
I can make that decision.
So everybody was wondering why you did not show up, or was he left out on purpose?
Niggas, number one, I don't understand how you get left out. Nigga, I could just go. Can't nobody tell Game I can't go nowhere I want to go in LA. I go anywhere the fuck I want.
Now don't forget, if this was really the case as to why the game wasn't at one of the biggest West Coast events in years, then why, when the pop-out first happened, Game did a damn near 15-minute rant throwing every excuse in the book as to why he wasn't at the pop-out, rather than just telling the world straight up that he was afraid of an altercation occurring with his people if he showed up? Could it be that he just thought of that excuse years later and thought it sounded better than admitting that he wasn't invited? When the pop-out first went down, take a look at what the Game had to say.
And I've been in this motherfucker since 2003, right? Because that's when I got signed to Aftermath, 2003. If you ask anybody, anybody that really know me that's in this motherfucker industry, and go ask Dr. Dre, man. Like, sit Dr. Dre down and really ask that about who I am and my character and, like what he really feel about me at the end of the day as a man. So if you could ask Nip himself, he would have told you, and he did tell you out his own mouth what, I contributed, to his career. Coming straight out of West Side, Cedar Block, Bompton, and Top Dog know what it is, Kendrick know what it is, Mustard know what it is, Ty Dolla $ign know what it is, Dr. Dre know what it is, Snoop know what it is, Red Rose, White Ceiling know what it is.
Now, what's crazy is throughout this rant, the Game even says that he was offered half of Top Dog Entertainment. Like, he could have went half on that record label. He could have been part owner of Top Dog Entertainment.
Top Dog wanted to motherfucking give me half of Top Dog. I didn't want nothing from Nick, though, bro. I just wanted to push Nick in the right direction.
So just bear that in mind, that the Game casually throws out, as he's defending himself for not being invited to the pop-out show, that he was once offered half of TDE Records. He could have been a partial owner of what's now one of the biggest hip-hop labels, maybe in history, right? You gotta imagine, if that's the case, then the Game's relationship with Top Dog Entertainment must be pretty strong. Well, once the Kendrick and Drake beef happened,
I study rap battles for a living.
Even though on push-ups, Drake was insinuating that Kendrick had some issues with his former TDE peers, Kendrick showed the world that his victory in that battle would be centered around unity, bringing all the TDE members to the pop-out and having them appear in the Not Like Us music video. Again, two big moments that the Game was noticeably missing from, even though he was a massive inspiration to Kendrick early on and, apparently according to him, had a strong relationship with TDE early on. Instead, though, the Game made it quite apparent which side he was on throughout that battle. And it wasn't TDE or Kendrick's side. Even though he didn't flat out diss Kendrick, it was obvious that he was riding for Drake. Now, I did a full breakdown of how the Game was very obviously letting the world know that he picked a side in this battle without flat out saying it. So I'll let old rapaholics take it away and explain it. And you'll see in all these different clips throughout the last few years, the Game has made his OVO allegiance very known. When it came down to Drake and Kendrick, the Game was leaning towards being Drake adjacent. He fired shots at Rick Ross. He didn't go to the pop-out. We didn't see him show any real public support for Kendrick, right? And he doesn't have to, but he was very vocal about, riding for Drake. And you could see, even back in 2022, he decided to FaceTime Drake during his Drink Champs interview.
What up? Hey, I was supposed to go hoop with my brother, but this nigga Nori like, you gotta do Drink Champs. You made me flake on Drizzy.
So you're not doing Drink Champs? Come on, we out here.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, man. Yo, tell him in the DM. I don't know why I gave you a fake Canada accent.
Hey, look, how would a Jersey nigga y'all saying man,
you're supposed to put up, Freddie's my friend.
Nah, he from Jersey, but he made his chops on the West Coast.
I just said he's the only one like that.
Charles, walk.
We might want to hold this because it's fake.
Curry and Chris, we got fucking Dre and Carti B 2 minutes ago. Now we got fucking Dre. Swag on, respect.
Hilarious to me is he's always kind of glazing Drake a bit, and I get it. Like he says, Drake gives him free tickets to shows, make sure his kids are set up when Drake comes into their town, whatever the case is. I understand it, but it's just so funny because he literally on his last album has an interlude, which is just a voicemail from Drake, where Drake just basically says I was too busy to give you a feature on this album, but I'll get you on the next one. And we know that Game and Drake have that long history, right? There was that whole 100 song where Game brought Drake to Compton to shoot the video, and Drake on that song is taking shots at Kendrick saying I would have all of your fans if I didn't go pop and I stayed on my conscious stuff. The Game on that song is talking about how, you know, people wanted to set Drake up or wet Drake up in Compton, but he's good as long as he's with Drake. So they have that bond, right? Well, recently, remember how, you know, during the vending machine DMs that I showed you guys before, how like The Game was hitting on all these women and like you could see it was from different eras because his profile picture on Instagram was changing throughout each one. Well, now he changed his profile picture. All the Drake Avengers basically changed their profile picture to an image of a diamond, which people believe is meant to represent Iceman. You could see here, The Game has the same profile picture as all of Drake's affiliates. He was the only real rapper to actually put this as his profile picture, mind you. Even Drake didn't change it. It was just like OVO Chubbs or OVO, whatever the other OVO members are. I bring this up to say The Game's allegiance is obviously to Drake. I mean, even he decided to, on his Instagram, do like written reviews, album reviews of different projects that came out this year. He did The Fall Off by J. Cole. He did Baby Keem's project. He ended up giving Baby Keem's project a 5 out of 10. And obviously Baby Keem is Kendrick's cousin, right? And the last thing he said in his review, I forget if it was for J. Cole or Baby Keem, he's like, this was good, but I'll see you guys when Iceman drops. Kind of implying like, you know, that's when The Game will really get shaken up. No pun intended, since we're talking about The Game. And he gave it a 5 on 10, even though he was praising a lot of the songs off that Baby Keem album. Again, just a lot of underhanded or backhanded remarks here to try and downplay what's going on between Kendrick and his team. And I think the most clarity he gives us is on the next podcast he does, where he basically admits that any, you know, little friction that he might have between Top Dawg or between Kendrick is due to his loyalty and his friendship to Drake. He says Drake always takes good care of him, so he had to sit back like a fan when those two were going at it during their beef. Even though he didn't sit back like a fan, he took Drake's side and dissed Rick Ross, which again is cool. But at this point, to rewrite history is just kind of foolish, right? You obviously took Drake's side then, and you're taking Drake's side now because you're still going out dissing Kendrick on your mixtapes. That's why when Fat Joe initially asks him here, like, why are people pitting you and Kendrick against each other? Is it because you want a rap battle? The Game doesn't really acknowledge, like, yeah, I've been like calling him out his name because I want to go and diss him. Instead, he tiptoes around it by saying, you know, you have to think you're the best. Kobe thought he was the best even against Michael Jordan. And, you know, the only reason why me and Kendrick might not get along now is because of Drake. When in reality, again, it's like, you've been the one on your 2 separate mixtapes dissing the man, trying to get him out for a rap battle, which again is all good, but to rewrite history is just crazy when we're seeing this all unfold in the public light.
What was the shit you trying to say about Kendrick Lamar? You're the only rapper from Compton, from this, that.
This is you the new flex. If you watch Kobe Bryant talk about Michael Jordan, and I'm just giving you an analogy. I've seen it. Kobe is never gonna say that Michael Jordan is better than me. He's gonna say that he's better than me, but in the Kobe way. But no man with children and a woman at home is gonna say another man is better than you at shit. I got the utmost love for Kendrick. He just broke Jay-Z Grammy record. That is, for us, that's cool shit.
Legendary.
They'll clip it and make it spin how they want. I got respect for Kendrick and everything he doing. The reason there's any type of little rift between me and Dot or Top, or if there is, if you thought there were, it's because Drake is my friend. There's a fork in the road where I gotta choose between my friend. Can we all agree that Drake is pretty huge? I got him on speed dial. If I call him and tell him that Cali, Justice, or Harlem want to come to the concert, he say, send him at 6. I'm going to be right there to receive him. You know I love him like I love you. We're going to put them where they need to be.
Right.
Your kids are going to see everything that they want to see. Do they need OVO gear? Everything. So I'm saying, if they go to war, then I got to sit back like a fan of 2 people, and I just got to watch it like everybody else.
That's your man. I do understand that.
Now, this is kind of on a side note, but I mean, I hope The Game is happy picking his side because this is how crazy these Drake fans get, all right? I'm not even going to put the name of this Twitter account, but just look at how insane this fan theory is here. My theory for the next Iceman episode is that Drake is heading to Delilah with all of his chains and jewelry ice for episode 4, and The Game is surrounding him with bloods. What do y'all think? Oh, man. I just picture this being like a really malnourished, scrawny kid somewhere in like Eastern Europe, kicking his feet against his bed, typing this with a massive smile on his face, like swinging his head back and forth, giggling like a schoolgirl as he fantasizes about Drake standing with The Game and a bunch of bloods in an LA nightclub. Like, what is this, bro?
Spicy.
And the worst part is the Game is himself giving off this groupie energy that leads to these deranged fans writing things like this because he's changing his profile picture. He's the only rapper changing his profile picture to try and promote Iceman for no reason. He's not getting paid to. The only thing he's getting is voicemails from Drake to put on his album saying, "Ah, man, buddy, I didn't get the feature for you for this album, but I'll get it for you for your next album. Don't worry." By the way, I don't have anything against Eastern Europe. I love Eastern Europe, right? And I'm Canadian. I feel like we share a lot of similar cultures, but I don't imagine this guy is a blood in LA writing this fan fiction on his Twitter, right? That was more so the point I was trying to make. But hey, at least the Game kind of kept it real when it came to discussing the lawsuit that Drake filed, right? At least he says he told Drake, hey, as your good friend, as your groupie, I don't think you should go about suing.
Man, when you heard Drake, like, man, Drake suing his label. He like, huh? Yeah. What? Yeah. Nah, you misheard that.
That's me. I don't sue. But that's just me. And again, it's one of those things where I can't judge a man for doing what he thinks is just for himself, his career, his legacy, and his family.
Right.
That has nothing to do with me. I did say that I don't think he should do that. But again, that's just me being a brother.
Right.
He don't have to listen to me.
What's your relationship with Drake?
Drake? Oh, Drake. That's my brother, man. That's my brother. I don't cut no corners about my friendship with Drake. He always been solid with me. He ain't never done me no wrong. He always look out, for the kids when they want to go to shows and whatnot. And he had never done me no wrong.
And the Game's maple syrup meat riding got even worse. He had reposted this quote from Isaac Hayes III, which said, "The Kendrick and Drake beef killed commercial rap music. It turned hip-hop into an engagement art form, not a chart-performing one. Everyone showed up, debated, replayed, picked sides, ran the numbers up. Meanwhile, the Billboard Hot 100 kept moving. The beef fed the masses and killed the charts. So I see why labels are cutting back. Black folks would rather tear down artists from both sides when collaboration is what drives expansion." And the Game added his own commentary saying, "Y'all ain't appreciate one of the greatest, now the absence and silence has the art form down 50%. The Game is pretty much adding to that narrative that essentially ever since Drake quote-unquote disappeared, the Game has been boring. They tried to eliminate the boy, now the boy is gone, and there's no songs on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. I'm guessing the Game hasn't actually looked at the statistics because the art form is not down 50%. In fact, the decline actually started way back in 2020. From a chart perspective, hip-hop has been on the downtrend for the last 5 years. The beef actually helped it see a spike in terms of sales and charts.
I study rap battles for a living.
Now, while Drake might study rap battles for a living, the Game has been trying to study and dissect why Kendrick Lamar no longer speaks to him. And it's not just Kendrick. Another legend who moves in silence is the Game's old mentor, Dr. Dre, who we all know has left the Game out of everything from XXL covers to the Super Bowl halftime show he did to even the moment where he got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and had all his proteges like Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, and Eminem there with him. But of course, just like Kendrick's pop-out show, the Game was missing.
I always speak of this moment when Dre was on the Walk of Fame. I mean, every West Coast rapper was there. They mentioned all Dre's accomplishment. They didn't say his name one time. And that's one of Dre's biggest accomplishments to me is, Dre got two artists from his city that were two of the biggest rappers on the West Coast. And, that's from his city, not counting Snoop Dogg. So you got Kendrick Lamar and the Game. Like, they both came up out of that house. And his own moves have made him see him like.
Now, similar to this, I believe that the Game is actually going at Kendrick Lamar for very similar reasons. The Game feels like he was integral in the early stages of Kendrick's career. He feels like he was a big influence on Kendrick, like he opened the doors for Kendrick to be able to do what he does. He was Dr. Dre's West Coast protege long before Kendrick. He was putting Kendrick on his albums before Good Kid, Mad City ever came out. But yet, Stackwell reveals that when the Game picks up the phone to call Kendrick doesn't respond. And I think, as petty as it sounds, this is where a lot of the resentment that the Game has towards Kendrick really stems from.
Game apparently is really hurt that he can't get in contact with Kendrick.
Well, I want to say this too. Another thing, it's some insight, and I'm gonna say which why you on the thing. It's some insight. Dot don't get on the phone with everybody, my nigga. He don't talk to niggas. This what y'all got to understand about Kendrick Lamar. He's just not talking to everybody. He talks to Glasses. He's a very few small people that he'll get on the phone with. I think that was another thing that Game had an issue with. He couldn't get Kendrick on the phone, and I'm trying to explain. Like, man, why won't he just talk to me? I'm just like, my nigga, like, hey, man, And I'm explaining to this nigga, everybody ain't the same. I remember having a conversation with Kendrick about that phone and just talking. He's like, that's his vice. Because we were just talking about vices one day. And his vice is being away, like being able to cut things off and cut the world off and no one be able to touch him. Like some people's vice is shopping. He enjoys the fact that niggas just can't get to him.
They want access, and he be like, yeah.
When you see Dr. Dre, dog, we all admire the fact that at any given time, bro, Dre can cut access off to anyone whenever he wants. Like you cannot get to this man. Like literally, you can't get him on the phone, can't get him by his house, you can't see him, you don't know where he at. He is like a ninja. And so like Eminem does that, and that's what I be trying to explain. That's why I was explaining to Game when it came to Dot, but he feels as though because he was one of Dot's inspirations that he should always have that access. Sure. But that's just not what it is. I be trying to people have their own way of having to deal with certain things. And my nigga, people speak to you when it's time to. If he don't have nothing to say, then there's nothing to talk about. I ain't talked to this nigga in years. I'm not offended by it. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. Cause I know at the end of the day, he got what he needed from me and I got what I needed from him. And now he's an artist doing this great music. And I appreciate the fact that he exists. I don't need to talk to this nigga. I don't need to get on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that actually is a lot. And I get, and you really share some stuff to me that if somebody had sense, they would get a little bit more of how Chuck sees things.
Get a little bit more about how Chuck sees things. 1 second, applause.
It's really interesting as well. Stat Quo also revealed that for years now, the game has felt like Kendrick Lamar has taken subtle shots at him. All the way back to 2017 with the Heart Part 4, where I believe Kendrick was going at Big Sean and Drake. The game feels like a lot of those bars were actually aimed at him. And then even as recently as 2024 with Not Like Us, where Kendrick starts a song by saying, "Shh, I see dead people," when the game has, I believe, various songs with that intro, he believes that was a nod to him and not a positive nod.
When Kendrick said, "I see dead people," on the beginning of, what song was that?
Not Like Us.
When he said that in the beginning of the song, we did a song where Game said that in the beginning. Dre did the beat.
One Blood. No, not One Blood.
It's another song.
Yes, the other. It was One Blood, right?
Oh, then we did another song where we said that. Game thought Kendrick was subliminally dissing him. I spoke to Game for over an hour. I told Top Dog this. This is a fact. I spoke to him for over an hour, convincing him that Kendrick was not dissing him. When Kendrick did that one shit where he was talking about Big Sean or all that shit, Game asked me, was he dissing him in that song?
What, Element?
The Heart.
Oh, The Heart, okay.
I went and talked to Kendrick about it. Kendrick was like, man, I would never diss him. What is he talking about? I told Chuck this. And I reminded him that on that conversation. I said, dog, these niggas fuck with you, like, chill out. This is real. But in his mind, he like his niggas throwing shots at me. So this is what I'm trying to tell y'all, conversations that me and this man be having. This is real shit. I am his conscience. I be stopping him. But guess what? I had that conversation. Then he started dissing Rick Ross.
Right. Right.
Me and him arguing in the bathroom. It's a whole thing going on in the outside. And this whole conference going on. And he said, you the reason that I diss Rick Ross. I said, yeah, nigga, you weren't supposed to diss nobody. I told you not to say nothing. Well, you told me not to say nothing about Kendrick. I said, because he wasn't dissing you. Man, fuck it. Oh. It was a whole thing. Then we had to walk out because it was literally like a Will.i.am was having a conference thing.
Right.
Man, this nigga just really in there. He's like, man, I was like, dog, you shouldn't have. I told you not to diss nobody. I told you not to say nothing. Say, man, motherfuckers be saying shit that you won't be hearing it. I said, no one's talking about you, dog. They're not.
So this is why he wasn't invited to the pop-out?
I don't know if he was invited. I think he could have went if he wanted to.
That's true.
It's not that type of deal. It was no invite or not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Him and Drake are friends. They're friends. Okay. So I want everybody to understand that. That's his boy. So him and Kendrick, it's a different relationship. You get what I'm saying? It's not like they buddy. Kendrick don't call Game to hang out. It's not that type of shit. We're gonna do a song. Let's do a song. They both from Compton. Kendrick was inspired. Game is a fan of Kendrick. It's not that type of deal. Game is a very competitive nigga though. So when somebody Game ain't J. Cole, he's not doing no interview and y'all ask him if Kendrick is a better rapper than him. He's never gonna say nobody can fuck with me. That's what he's gonna say every time. And as he should.
So it's interesting, we now know that all that glazing Game did of Drake during and after his beef with Kendrick, it was likely due to the fact that the Game thought Kendrick was dissing him for years. And throughout that time period, while he tried to get Kendrick on the phone to explain himself, Kendrick simply never picked up that phone. Now, why would Kendrick not answer the Game's calls, especially considering that they came up under the same umbrella? Game was around TDE in the early days, and beyond that, no matter how you feel about the Game today, there's no denying he was an
red rose, white ceiling.
There's no denying he was an inspiration to Kendrick and a lot of the West Coast artists very early on. Well, Stat Quo would explain that the reason Kendrick might have cut the Game off also goes back to Drake. Remember how the Game said he was close to Top Dogg early on and even asked Top if he could sign Kendrick before Kendrick became a star? Well, Top Dogg would call Stat Quo in the middle of their podcast and reveal that the reason Kendrick hasn't messed with the Game in a while is because the Game brought Drake to Compton all the way back in 2015 to shoot the music video for their collaboration, 100.
Let me tell y'all what that call was about. That call was about Top was calling me to tell me that when these clips come out, he want everybody to understand Dot didn't just stop talking to him for no reason. After that video that dude shot in Compton, that changed everything. The 100 video. And you know, I had spoke about that. I told Wack and Game about that. And Top thing is like, hey, it don't need to be perceived that Kendrick stopped talking to Game out of nowhere. Right. That was the thing that did it. He reminded me that some of the younger guys, when they shot that J-Rock video, they went over to Game's house to do that part. And Game when he put that mask on, he said that the label or somebody said he couldn't show his face. But 2 weeks later, he did a Hurricane Chris video. These are the things that Top is reminding me on the phone.
Now, why is this significant? Should Kendrick even care that the Game collaborated with Drake? Well, it wasn't about the fact that the Game did a song with Drake, particularly. I don't even think it was the fact that Drake dissed Kendrick on that song when he rapped, "I would have all of your fans if I didn't go pop and I stayed on my conscious stuff." I think it was the fact that Kendrick Lamar did a collaboration with the Game on that same album where Drake was dissing Kendrick on. And you gotta realize at that point in time, Drake and Kendrick had already been engaged in a multi-year subliminal war, starting in 2013 when Kendrick was awarded the Best MC of the Year by MTV. Then Drake and J. Cole did a song together called Jodeci Freestyle, where Drake rapped something along the lines of, "Please stop arguing who's the best MC, we know damn well you're not." Then, of course, Kendrick would drop Control, where he said, "I want to be better than all you guys and steal all of your core fans." We know Drake was very salty about that verse. It's also like the 1-year anniversary of that Control verse, so drop a comment if I should do a full video breaking down all the responses that rappers released over that Control verse. But one of those responses was Drake's song called The Language, which came out about a month after the Control verse, and Drake rapped on that song. "I don't know why they're lying, but your stuff is not that inspiring. I'm the kid with the motor mouth, I'm the one they should worry about." A month after that, Kendrick did the BET cypher where he said that he would tuck a sensitive rapper back in their pajama clothes. Then Drake responded to that verse with a verse of his own on a future remix to the song called SHIT. And then, of course, by 2015 on King Kunta, Kendrick rapped, "I could dig rapping, but a rapper with a ghostwriter, what the F happened?" So obviously at this point, the beef was brewing, and Drake took it up a level by dissing Kendrick on a West Coast record, claiming that if he stuck to the same route that Kendrick was on, rapping on a conscious level, he would have all of Kendrick's fans. A slick callback to the fact that Kendrick on Control rapped that he was trying to make Drake and like 12 other rappers' fans completely forget about their existence. Spicy. Now, the Game allowed this diss to fly on his own album, which again, I think that's fine because the Game wasn't involved in their beef and all's fair in love and war, but where it gets tricky is the fact that the Game actually brought Drake to Compton to shoot the music video for that song. And on Game's verse of that 100 record, where again, Drake is dissing Kendrick, Game himself reflects on how people in LA may have had problems with Drake because he's a quote-unquote out-of-town guy, but the Game made sure that Drake had no problems when he actually came to Compton. So break that down. Kendrick and Drake had already been going at each other subliminally for several years. Kendrick gives Game a verse for this new album he's dropping. Then Drake gets on that same album, dissing Kendrick, and what does the Game do? He brings Drake to Kendrick's hometown to shoot the video for that song where Drake is dissing Kendrick. So when you combine all these factors, it made sense that Kendrick didn't want much to do with the Game after that. But think about the difference in their reactions. When the Game thinks somebody's dissing him, he'll go on multi-year rants, drop 100 bars aimed at whatever rapper he thinks is dissing him, and never really let it go.
Too much 50 Cent, not enough West Coast rap. 50 Cent. JC! I said JC! You old ass. You old ass. I will f Thug up.
When have you ever heard an Eminem song in the club? I don't hear Eminem in the streets. I'm just a better rapper.
And like I told you guys earlier in this video, I believe Kendrick got a lot farther in his career because when he had an issue, he would only bring it up within the music. Otherwise, he stayed silent. He didn't engage in the antics. He's never been in a Twitter beef. You've never heard him dissing another rapper on stage unless he was performing a diss record on stage. Again, he kept it to the music and he avoided the antics. But the opposite is what the Game was a master of. So of course, when the news broke that Kendrick may have had an issue with Game bringing Drake to Compton to shoot the 100 music video where Drake is dissing Kendrick, the Game had a lot to say about it. The first thing he said was that Kendrick shouldn't be mad that the Game collaborated with Drake because Kendrick himself collaborated with the Game's quote-unquote op, 50 Cent, when he appeared on 50 Cent's show, Power.
He said when Kendrick did Power, and no, this is what he said. When Kendrick did Power, and they knew that 50 Cent was his arch nemesis, he didn't feel away. He felt like he enjoyed it. So he's like, I didn't care that Kendrick did Power.
Now, this is such a dumb excuse on so many different levels. Number one, I don't think Kendrick's issue was that the Game and Drake did a song together. It was the fact that Drake was dissing Kendrick in his hometown, and he was only able to do that because the Game facilitated it. Beyond that, for the Game to pretend like he deserves to feel offended towards Kendrick for working with 50 Cent is so stupid because the Game himself for a decade now has gone back and forth between making amends with 50 Cent to then going back to beefing with him. So which one is it, right? When the Game himself has said that he has no problems with 50 anymore, why should Kendrick refuse to collaborate with 50 in allegiance to the Game?
Massive peace summit went down in Los Angeles. The Game and 50 Cent officially buried the hatchet. They are done. Wait, am I supposed to say that?
Yeah, you can say that. It's good.
I can?
Well, they're done this week.
I don't know. Yeah, they are. I mean, look, before they've said that they're gonna make up,
and they always do, and then they don't.
And they don't. But this time, I really believe it's true because
Why? Because they did it in a strip club.
Yeah, exactly. They got together in the VIP at Ace of Diamonds. What more do you need to know? That's it. It's completely officially squashed. We saw them back. I think it was in March. They were both at Playhouse, but we didn't see them actually together like this.
Is that a hug? I can't tell.
Yeah, they're hugging it out.
That's him whispering in his ear like, hey, bro, you know what? It's tricky between us, but guess what? We need to class the whole situation. It's been 12 years, and I'm tired of it being like super heated, and us keep on getting back and forth at each other. Let's be BFFs now, hugging.
I don't know if they used the term BFF.
Yeah, I
doubt that came out of from what I know of 50 now, who was here hosting the other TMZ on TV, while you were gone.
I hear he was great, by the way.
Yeah, he was. He was really entertaining. And then a few hours after this, he decided,
wait a minute.
I'm gonna go hash things out.
He used my cup. He's got my cup.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to use my cup.
Oh gosh. Really?
Well, that's my thing.
What do you mean it's your thing?
I'm kidding. I like his color better than mine.
So listen, aside from them getting together there, Game actually got up in the club, grabbed the mic, and addressed everything that had happened in the past and talked about why they're moving forward.
Everybody in this, you know what it is. I'm pretty sure you can see Game and 50 in the club. It's all good. You ain't gotta pick this side or that side or feel no certain way. I'm 50. What happened was 12 years ago. You know what it is. 50. We 100. You know what it is.
What's also crazy is that the Game had Drake come shoot the 100 music video where he's dissing Kendrick in Compton on June 16th, 2015. That date is significant because on June 16th, 2011, Drake and Kendrick met in Toronto for the first time, and they had a conversation which Kendrick later turned into the Bury It Alive interlude, which appeared on Drake's Take Care album. But it adds another layer to Kendrick's 616 in LA diss song against Drake from 2024, because we now know that the day that the Game brought Drake to Compton to diss Kendrick Lamar on a song was also June 16th, 616. The very same day that Top Dogg told Stat Quo was the day Kendrick stopped answering the Game's phone calls. But here's where it gets interesting. Poetic Flacco had done a video where he broke down this whole issue, claiming that it's stupid for Kendrick to hold resentment for the Game bringing Drake to Compton to shoot the music video where he's dissing Kendrick, and this is what Flacco had to say.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that Top is reminding me on the phone.
You don't like the game because the game did a song with Drake and allowed Drake to come to his hood. So you just run all of Compton now. Game didn't bring Drake to your block. Game didn't bring Drake to your hood. Game brought Drake to his hood with his friends and his homies. So now you don't like Game because he... Yo, wait, hold on. Yo, what was that song, bro?
And why I said this is interesting is because the Game would be in the comments of this clip reciprocating Poetic Flacco's feelings that Kendrick was tripping for being mad about this whole thing, and he makes some thinly veiled threats. The Game commented, "At least one guy gets it. Fans and internet goofies will never get it. These guys aren't who you think they are. One day I'm gonna pull the curtain down so you can see every clown in their circus." Who could these clowns be the Game is talking about? Well, considering the comment was made under a video that discusses how Kendrick Lamar was overreacting for not answering the Game's calls, you gotta imagine he's talking about Kendrick. He would also go on a rant at one of his shows recently where he emphasized that he doesn't get the proper credit for the work he's done to represent the West Coast within hip-hop.
Same day, we did Day Roll, same day. LA be claiming niggas' lives. I got hella dead homies. I ain't got no grandparents left. My daddy dead, my mama sick. But I'm on stage, homie. I'm from West Side, Cedar Block, Compton, Piru. I represent LA. I ain't gonna never turn my back on y'all. And I'm 100% sure that when I die, niggas gonna be where I'm from. On my mama, nigga. I don't give a fuck if it's today or 10 years from now or 50, nigga. It's West Side with me. Come on.
Now, there might be validity to this rant because the Game's catalog, in my opinion, is too good to be overlooked the way that it is. But the reality is that the Game being overlooked is only a product of his own actions, and we're seeing it happen again here. The Game acting like a toddler on stage because Kendrick won't answer his calls because Kendrick felt disrespected over how the Game handled the Drake beef exemplifies that the Game can't handle things professionally behind the scenes. He's got to go to the internet and to the public to air out his grievances, and that's ultimately isolated him from a lot of the people that brought him into the Game. And because he's left off these big moments, which again is only due to the fact that his industry peers have likely either felt disrespected or view him as a liability, the importance that the Game brought to hip-hop hasn't gotten the respect or acknowledgement that it probably would have if Game learned a lesson or two from Kendrick and stayed quiet and handled issues behind the scenes and dealt with people in a professional manner, or at the very least stuck to airing out his grievances strictly in the music, because we do know the Game is a great rapper. At the same time, it's now being alleged that the Game is back in the studio with Drake, possibly concocting diss records against Kendrick Lamar, so who knows where this tale will end. But as far as where we're at right now with it, well, Kendrick hasn't said a word on this issue. His actions of silence and keeping things strictly on the music represent exactly the lesson that the Game should learn if he wants his legacy to be as highly regarded as someone like Kendrick or 50 Cent. And the craziest part of all is that 50 Cent gave the Game the exact same advice that the world is now giving him 20 years ago. So will the Game ever listen to it? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.
If it ain't about the bread, it ain't concerning me. I'm like a journalist, I got a plotters down in Germany. They never heard of this, felt like a plane without the turbulence. You moving totalist, load up a beat and try to murder it.
I study rap
Aholics
for a living.